Ladies, we talk a lot about connection chemistry, that spark, but what if I told you that there's something even more powerful than physical attraction? Something that, when spoken in the most intimate moment, can create a bond so deep it makes a man feel seen, safe, and completely drawn to you, body and soul. Emotional vulnerability during intimacy creates unshakable connection. Most people assume that the physical act of intimacy is the deepest form of closeness two people can experience. But what they miss is that true connection doesn't come from just being physically naked, it comes from being emotionally naked. Vulnerability is the moment you let someone see your fears, your hopes, your insecurities, and your desires without the mask. And when that happens during an intimate moment, it becomes a catalyst for a bond that's rare and unforgettable. When you're with someone in that space, in that silence where only breath and touch speak, your words, if chosen from an honest, vulnerable place, can break walls that years of dating may never touch. Imagine the power in saying something genuine like, "I feel so safe with you right now," or "This moment makes me feel more connected to you than I've ever felt with anyone." That kind of raw honesty pierces through the surface and reaches into a man's emotional core. Because the truth is, men aren't used to hearing emotional vulnerability in the bedroom. They often associate intimacy with performance or validation, but rarely with emotional resonance. And when you bring that into the experience, it's disarming in the most beautiful way. Vulnerability also signals trust. When you open up emotionally while being physically intimate, it tells him that this isn't just about attraction, it's about something deeper. You're not putting on a show, you're not playing a role, you're inviting him into your emotional space, and that's sacred. This invitation tells him that he matters to you beyond what he can give you physically. It tells him that his presence makes you feel seen and valued. And that's something men rarely hear in their lives. It's not about rehearsed phrases or scripted lines. It's about tuning into your emotions in that moment and having the courage to let them surface. Maybe it's something like, "I didn't know I could feel this connected to someone," or "Being with you like this makes me feel like I'm exactly where I'm meant to be." These are the kinds of words that don't just echo in his ears. They imprint on his heart. They stay with him long after the moment has passed because they weren't about the physical. They were about the emotional truth you were willing to share. A man can feel physical attraction from many people in his life, but emotional vulnerability, that's rare. That's the thing that sets you apart. When you show him that you're not afraid to be emotionally open in your most intimate state, you give him permission to do the same. And for a man to feel safe enough to drop his emotional armor is one of the most powerful gifts he can receive. Use affirming words that make him feel uniquely desired. There's a massive difference between making someone feel wanted and making them feel replaceable. In moments of intimacy, the words you choose can either deepen his emotional investment or leave him feeling like just another warm body. What men crave but often don't voice is to feel irreplaceable in the eyes of the woman they care about. They want to be wanted not for what they're doing in the moment, but for who they are, how they move, the energy they bring, the way they make you feel. And that affirmation doesn't happen by accident. It happens through intention. When you're with him, especially during an intimate moment, and you whisper something like, "No one makes me feel the way you do," you're not just stroking his ego, you're showing him that your desire is uniquely wired to who he is. It's not a general compliment. It's not a surface-level reaction. It's personal, it's direct, and it hits deep. Because men often live with an unspoken pressure to perform, to please to be enough. Hearing words that reflect genuine admiration allows them to relax and feel emotionally seen. These affirmations work best when they are specific. Instead of vague compliments like "you're amazing," go deeper. Tell him, "The way you look at me makes me feel completely wanted." Or, "Your touch drives me wild because it's you asterisk, not just anyone." That word, you asterisk, is powerful. It centers your desire around him asterisk, not just around the experience. And when a man feels like the object of your focused, intentional desire, something changes in the way he connects with you. He doesn't just feel sexy, he feels significant. Affirming language also helps counter the internal narratives many men carry but never speak about. Stories of not being good enough, of being compared, of having to constantly prove their worth. Your words have the power to silence those doubts, to make him feel chosen without condition. You don't have to write poetry or overthink it. It can be as simple as, "I love the way your mind works," or "I never feel more feminine than when I'm with you." These phrases carry more weight than most people realize, especially when spoken in moments of vulnerability. What you say while making love should not just be reactive, but connective. You're not there to commentate, you're there to connect. When he hears that your attraction to him is rooted in who he is, not just how he moves or looks, he'll feel a deeper sense of meaning in your connection. It will begin to feel less like a performance and more like a safe space where he's not just being wanted, he's being truly seen. And when that emotional resonance fuses with physical closeness, it creates a kind of intimacy that lingers far beyond the bedroom. Speak to his emotional world, not just his physical experience. So many people focus entirely on the external during intimacy, how it looks, how it feels, how to impress, but they forget that real connection is internal. What a man often doesn't get enough of in his daily life is someone acknowledging his inner emotional landscape. He may go through life with a tough exterior, managing expectations, responsibilities, and pressure, all while quietly craving emotional validation he rarely receives. During intimacy, there is an open doorway to that emotional space, a moment when the noise of the world quiets down, and you have a rare chance to speak directly to the man underneath the mask. When you tap into that opportunity, the impact is profound. This doesn't mean turning the experience into a therapy session. It means using the moment to express that you see more than just what's happening physically. You're recognizing his emotional presence, his vulnerability, and his energy. A simple phrase like, "I feel how much you care through the way you touch me," opens a channel of emotional recognition. It tells him that you're feeling him, not just physically, but emotionally, that you're tuned into who he is beneath the surface. Many men are taught from a young age to suppress emotion, to be strong, stoic, and silent about their inner world. So, when you make space for his emotions during one of the most intimate and unguarded moments, it becomes unforgettable. It shows him that with you, he doesn't have to hide. With you, his emotional self is not only accepted, it's desired. That kind of emotional affirmation creates a new level of safety, where he doesn't feel like he has to earn love or intimacy through performance. He feels like his emotions are welcome. You can speak to his emotional world by reflecting what you see in him during those moments. "I can feel how deeply you care about making me feel good," or "I love how present you are with me right now," are simple yet powerful examples. These words don't just compliment his actions, they reflect his emotional intention. They show that you're not just focused on what's happening, but why it matters. And that builds emotional intimacy the kind that men carry in their hearts long after the lights go out. Intimacy becomes transformative when it's not just about sensation, but about emotional recognition. When he hears that you are emotionally attuned to him, it elevates the entire experience. It makes him feel like more than a lover. It makes him feel like a partner, a man whose emotional energy is understood and valued. In those moments, he's not just being touched, he's being felt. And that distinction is everything when it comes to creating lasting emotional impact. Validate his presence and energy in that moment with sincerity. Intimacy isn't just about two bodies coming together. It's about two energies intertwining. And one of the most powerful things you can do for a man in that vulnerable space is to let him know that his presence matters. Not just the things he's doing or how he looks, but the simple fact that he is the one with you in that moment. Validation in intimacy doesn't mean over-the-top praise or exaggerated compliments. It means reflecting back to him that you feel him, not just physically, but emotionally and energetically. Men are often praised for results, for actions, for performance, but what they rarely hear is that their presence alone is enough. That who they are, without effort or agenda, is deeply appreciated. And there's no better time to express this than during a moment of connection, when defenses are down and emotions are close to the surface. When you look into his eyes and say something like, "I love being with you right now," or "This feels so good because it's you're doing more than stating a fact. You're affirming his worth, his energy, his essence. And that kind of recognition is something that sticks with a man long after the moment is gone. Validation doesn't need to be poetic or complex. What matters is sincerity. Words like, "You make me feel safe," or "I feel so drawn to you when you're this close," carry tremendous weight when they're said with honesty and presence. They tell him that you're not just enjoying the experience, you're appreciating him as a human being. In a world that constantly tells men to be more, do more, achieve more, your words become a soft landing, a place where he doesn't have to strive, where he's already enough. There's also a certain power in acknowledging not just what he's doing, but the energy behind it. For example, instead of simply saying, "That feels amazing," you might say, "I can feel how much you're giving to me right now." That shift takes the compliment from the surface to the soul. It tells him that you're not just reacting, you're receiving, and you're aware of what he's putting into the experience emotionally, not just physically. In moments of closeness, when the world is quiet and it's just the two of you, your voice becomes a vehicle for emotional connection. Every word becomes a thread that weaves deeper intimacy. When you validate his presence sincerely, you make the moment feel like it matters, not just for you, but for him too. You give him a sense of importance that isn't tied to performance or expectation, but to the simple, powerful truth that being with him feels right. That his energy, his presence, just as it is, brings something meaningful into your world. Express admiration for who he is, not just what he does. In moments of physical closeness, it can be easy to focus on what's happening in the moment, his moves, his body, the chemistry. But what often creates a lasting emotional connection is when a man hears that your admiration for him goes deeper than surface-level attraction. When you express genuine appreciation for his character, his values, his way of being, you tap into a part of him that rarely gets acknowledged. Most men are not used to being admired for their inner world. They're used to being needed, wanted, or appreciated for what they provide, but not often for who they are when no one's watching. During intimacy, his walls are likely lower than at any other time. He's open. He's exposed not just physically but emotionally. That's why what you say in those moments carries more weight than it might in everyday life. Telling him things like, "I love how protective you are," or "You have such a calming presence, I feel so safe with you," cuts through any insecurity or doubt he may carry. These kinds of words hit differently because they validate his deeper identity. You're showing him that your connection isn't based on the moment. It's rooted in something far more meaningful. Admiring who he is creates a foundation of trust and emotional security. It tells him that even outside of physical intimacy, you see and value his core. You admire his integrity, his strength, his sensitivity, his drive, or his kindness not because of what it gives you, but because it's part of what makes him unique. That type of admiration builds emotional safety, and when a man feels emotionally safe with a woman, he begins to open up in ways he never has before. He starts to show you more of who he really is because he knows you see past the surface. You don't have to wait for some perfect, serious moment to share this. Even in the midst of passion, you can lean in and say, "You're such a good man," or "I love how deeply you care about people. I can feel it when I'm with you." Those statements don't take away from the heat, they add asterisk to it. They bring emotional gravity into a moment of physical intimacy, and that fusion is what turns passion into connection. So many men walk through life unseen in this way. They're told to be strong, stoic, and unbothered. But inside they want to be known, not for the roles they play, but for the heart behind the actions. When you're the person who sees that heart, who speaks to it even in moments of closeness, it makes him feel truly recognized. It creates a depth that most connections never reach because it's no longer about admiration for what he gives. It's about appreciation for who he is at his core. Anchor physical closeness with emotionally loaded phrases he'll never forget. In moments of intimacy, what often lingers in a person's mind long after the physical experience fades are the words spoken in those vulnerable seconds. Physical pleasure can be powerful, but emotional imprinting is what creates a lasting bond. When you pair physical closeness with emotionally charged language, you turn a fleeting experience into something deeply memorable. You give him something to carry with him, something that replays in his mind and reminds him of the connection you shared. It's not about being poetic or rehearsed. It's about being intentional with your words. When a man hears something in the heat of the moment that reflects how you feel about him emotionally, it resonates at a much deeper level. Phrases like, "I've never felt this kind of connection before," or "Being with you like this makes me feel like time stops," tap into more than just his desire. They touch his heart. These are the kinds of statements that stay with him in quiet moments, when he's alone, when he's thinking about you, when he's deciding how deeply invested he wants to become. The human brain ties emotional memories to sensory experiences. That's why a certain song, a scent, or a tone of voice can transport someone back to a specific moment. When you speak words filled with emotional meaning while he's in a heightened state of closeness, his mind naturally links that feeling of connection with you. That emotional anchor becomes part of the way he experiences intimacy with you, not just physically, but psychologically. It becomes harder for him to separate the experience of pleasure from the emotional safety and validation you gave him. These phrases don't need to be complex, but they should be honest. "I feel so close to you right now." "I love who I am when I'm with you." Or "You make me feel like I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be," are all examples of simple yet powerful statements that root physical intimacy in emotional meaning. These words tell him that what's happening is not just about satisfaction, it's about significance. You're letting him know that this moment matters to you on a level beyond just touch. It's also about tone, timing, and delivery. A softly spoken truth in the middle of a quiet pause can hit deeper than a loud declaration. Whispered words when he's fully present with you, when your eyes lock and the world fades away, become part of his emotional memory. He may not even realize how deeply it affects him in the moment, but later those words echo. They become the lines he hears in his head when he's thinking of what makes you different from anyone else he's ever been with. The power of emotionally loaded phrases lies in their ability to bridge the gap between the body and the soul. They turn an ordinary experience into an extraordinary one by making him feel emotionally chosen, not just physically desired.